to you. It's Friday, the 4th of January. I'm Paul Kennedy.
And I'm Lisa Miller. You're watching News Breakfast. Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia are set to swelter today, with residents right across the country's southeast told to expect extreme heat conditions. Warnings have been issued in Tasmania for severe or very high fire danger as the state experiences a second day of soaring temperatures. In South Australia, forecasters say hot and dry winds pose a serious fire risk.
January records are predicted to break in Victoria today, with temperatures set to soar into the 40s in many areas. A total fire ban is in place for the state, with authorities particularly worried about strong winds this afternoon. It's prompted a warning to holidaymakers to reconsider their travel plans to avoid being on the road at the most dangerous times.
We'll have more shortly with Nate, but first let's go to reporter Zali Rizmal, who's in Melbourne this morning. Zali, what can you tell us about what's ahead?
Good morning, Lisa. Well, look, Victorian emergency and fire authorities are bracing for a very hot and windy day across the state. As mentioned, a total fire ban has been declared for the entire state for the first time this summer. In Melbourne, temperatures are expected to reach 42 degrees, and if they do, it will be the hottest day in 3 years. Across the state, January records are also tipped to fall, with 45 degrees expected in Shepparton and 46 in Swan Hill and Mildura. Now, yesterday, authorities were warning of the dangerous conditions today, advising people to check and have their fire plans ready, stay connected, checking in on emergency warnings, because if a fire does start, it will be uncontrollable, unpredictable and fast moving. And of course, they're also recommending for people to be aware of the health dangers associated with the heat and to stay inside if possible for the hottest part of the day and check in with friends and family, especially vulnerable people, those over 65 and infants, because they're especially vulnerable to heat stress and heat exhaustion and heat stroke, of course. And also for those wanting to cool off and go for a swim, to just be aware of the dangers of the water that they're swimming in, whether it be at the beach or in inland waterways. Of course, there will be many more lifesavers deployed across the state at beaches to try and keep people safe. So if they can swim between the flags, to do so today.
Zali, thanks very much. And PK, we're going to be following this story right throughout the day, talking to officials later as well.
Yeah, it's a nasty mix, the heat and then the wind change. Let's bring in Nate now for some more detail on the sweltering temperatures. Over to you, mate.
Sweltering is the right word, PK. Good morning. The heat is being dragged down from the central parts of Australia into the southeast by this trough and a cold front further south. And just look at all those reds and purples moving through. We've got a cool change coming though. Temperatures are set to crash later as it moves through, but gusty winds on both sides of that change will create incredibly challenging conditions for firefighters. We've got a potential for lightning as well. That's adding extra concern. Now, extreme fire weather is forecast for the north of Victoria, broad areas of severe fire danger around that, and for Tasmania. Now, the winds are likely to have peak gusts to 100 kilometres an hour as they move through central and eastern Victoria this afternoon. That's prompted damaging wind warnings from the Bureau. Now, the wind will likely also pick up dust in the northwest of the state. Places like Swan Hill are aiming for their highest January temperature ever recorded today. Of course, we'll have all of the details through the morning, and I'll have the latest forecast for you shortly.
Thanks, Nate. Well, turning to the US, and the new Congress is being sworn in, ushering in an era of divided government under President Donald Trump. A record number of women have been elected to what will be the most diverse Congress in American history. The Democrats now control the House of Representatives, and the party is set to waste no time trying to end a 13-day partial government shutdown. The leader of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, who's been sworn in as House Speaker, says she's not ruling out impeaching President Trump.
We have to wait and see what happens with the Mueller report. We shouldn't be impeaching for a political reason, and we shouldn't avoid impeachment for a political reason. So we'll just have to see how it comes.
Now, the overseas news, 5 of the people accused of murdering Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi could be sentenced to death. The Washington Post columnist was last seen walking into the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul in Turkey in October. Turkey wants the men extradited to face trial in Istanbul, something Saudi Arabia has ignored so far. Officials have rejected accusations that the Crown Prince ordered his murder. The high-profile trial into Khashoggi's disappearance has now started in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, with prosecutors seeking the death penalty for 5 of the 11 charged.
Forensic police have continued to scour the headquarters of the Church of Scientology in Sydney's north overnight after a stabbing that claimed the life of a 24-year-old man. The man died. He was stabbed in the neck outside the centre in Chatswood yesterday. Police allege a 16-year-old boy was being escorted from the building when he produced a large kitchen knife about 25 centimetres long. Another church member received cuts to his hands. Police say the teenage boy is still undergoing medical checks and that detectives hope to speak to him today.
Police have identified the man whose body was found in bushland on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Tyrone Beauchamp's burnt body was discovered by volunteer firefighters responding to a fire in Yarra State Forest in a few days after Christmas. They're appealing for anybody who saw the 41-year-old in recent weeks to get in touch.